ask for pictures. If you see something happening in your neighborhood, or if you see something happening in your community, take a picture, send it to us, because we'd love to share it with everyone. I know we just went on live.
Yep.
So I just want to reiterate what's going on here. The remnants of what was Hurricane Beryl is now Tropical Storm Beryl moving into Western New York. So this morning we've already seen a lot of rain. We've already seen a lot of lightning as well. Aaron is tracking all of this for us. And what I was asking for before we actually went on live, is that we are looking for your pictures. If you see any damage today in terms of wind, flooding, ponding on the roads, take some pictures. Send it to us. You can use the email address news@wkbw.com, or you can certainly send it to us on social media. But Aaron, let's talk about the threat of severe weather, because I think that's really alarming for some people, though we don't want to be alarmists here.
Exactly. But,
5% is a big deal.
It is. It is a big deal. So you can also use the hashtag #SeeItOn7.
There you go.
We know that one. So like you mentioned, we had this, what was once a Category 5 hurricane, started back on June 28th off the coast of Africa, moved through the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico, through Texas, the middle of the country, and now the remnants of what was once Hurricane Beryl moving through Western New York. I should say moving toward Western New York. The remnants haven't really moved through just yet. So be prepared, be weather ready for today. We do have the rain coming down in some spots right now, with more wet weather on the way. A lot of lightning sitting from just the west of Niagara Falls out over Lake Erie, right near Jamestown, moving eastward.
John, let's take the weather computer if we can, so we can actually show what's going on here. So there we go. Perfect.
Okay, so there it is right now. And I did a story too on our website if you want to read about kind of how we are in the situation we are today with the weather. It's pouring in Niagara Falls. Thanks, Amanda, which is great because there's the radar showing that heavy rain in Niagara Falls. About 220 lightning strikes in this box. The highest rainfall rate, more than 5 inches per hour, which is incredible. So heavy rain now moving to Niagara Falls. See a little circulation there being reported over the Niagara Peninsula. That's something we're going to watch closely. We have the storms out over Lake Erie heading toward Buffalo. The rain arriving in Buffalo shortly, and you'll have perhaps a thunderstorm in Buffalo around 8:12, Kenmore 8:16, Amherst around 8:20, Pendleton 8:30, Clarence and Lockport closer to 8:40. So Storm Prediction Center has just about all of Western New York shaded in yellow. So our threat for severe weather is certainly elevated today. Yes, Joyce, high winds, damaging winds with these storms later today. Main threat would be flooding and damaging winds and perhaps isolated tornadoes. Nothing in Ransville right now. That's going to change in about 15 to 20 minutes. So I don't know who wrote that. I think
that was from Howard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing in West Seneca yet. But as the day moves along, that'll change as well. We do want to show you this graphic, like Ed was talking about, the tornado chance. Now, you don't see this too often. About a 10% chance in the area shaded in yellow, which is near Warsaw to Wellsville eastward. 5% chance elsewhere. So that's Buffalo to Clarence to Batavia to Marilla, Attica, about a 5% chance. North of Clarence, about a 2% chance. Now, this is climatologically your chance. So on any day, it's about 0. On a day when you see a 5% or 10%, you know that is very elevated. So we don't see that too often. You definitely want to be weather ready for today. Jamestown, Randolph, Salamanca, Ashford, also 5%. And there's that yellow area, 10%. Warsaw, Pike, Grove, and Allegheny County. You folks really want to be prepared. If a warning were to go off, you want to seek shelter in a basement. If you don't have a basement, go to a bathroom or closet, an interior room away from windows, and use blankets, pillows, or mattress to shield yourself from debris. Like we mentioned, take a picture if you safely can. Most injuries and deaths from a tornado occur when you're standing by the window and you get hit by flying debris.
Can I ask I don't know, is this a stupid question? I don't think so, but I wonder about it. So we're saying basically that there's a 5% chance of a tornado in parts of Western New York, and in other parts there's a 2% chance. So the investigative reporter in me says, well, okay, so there's a 95% chance that it doesn't happen.
Fair enough. It is kind of confusing because it's taken over a year. So climatologically, it's about a 0% chance. So when you see 2%, you're like, whatever.
Right.
But no, that means there's a pretty good chance. 5%, better chance. 10%, pretty elevated chance, which we normally don't see here in Western New York. Our last tornado was July 28th, 2022. That was in Java. And can you guess when the Hamburg Fairgrounds tornado was? Because that's the one that kind of sticks in everyone's mind.
I'm gonna say 2016.
Close, 2017.
Okay.
I mean, that was July 2017.
And there were 3, weren't there?
Yeah, there were 4 actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so during that cell that brought several tornadoes right around lunchtime and hit the fairgrounds. So, I mean, they happen. They're not common. It's been 2 years since the one in Java, and then we had one in April 2022 in Alexander. But they do happen, and like you mentioned, it seems very low. But I was listening to the radio this morning, and someone said, hey, you know what? The Bills had a 1% chance to win the AFC East, and they did it. So we have about a 5 to 10% chance today. So, all right, think this could happen.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of going through my parameter checklist for tornadoes. There's a lot of things you look for, and there's a lot of things I can check off that are showing that we have the potential for them today.
Like what? What in particular is kind of on that checklist?
Okay, so you look for what kind of spin is in the atmosphere, what we call helicity and also vorticity. And we have the surface winds out of the east, but then the other winds aloft are going to be more westerly. So you're seeing when you can get that spin, when you have an easterly wind with this, that is why I'm a little more, like I said, not alarmist, but telling you what I'm seeing so that you can be prepared for later today. If we get more sunshine today, that makes the atmosphere more unsettled as well and more unstable, which gives us a better chance for severe weather.
Address Howard's comment here. Typically, tornadoes run southwest to northeast if you see one.
That's correct.
Okay, so
yeah. So typically they do go from southwest to northeast. They tend to move along, say, a cold front, which will be moving through western New York later today, and they move along that front in a southwest to northeast direction. So we have had some very strong ones in the past. An EF4 has been recorded in Chautauqua County in the mid-'80s.
So is that potentially why parts of Allegheny County and Wyoming County have that higher percentage?
Yeah, you know what? They're also away from the lakes. And the lakes, as we've talked about before, keep our temperatures from really reaching 100, keep our weather from being as devastating as it would be in the middle of the country where they have Tornado Alley. The lakes, lake temperature still in the 70s, which is warm for this time of year, but it kind of cool enough where some of the air will sink over the lake and lower your chance for active weather. You get further inland, and that's where you have the better chance for it.
Joyce says that she lives in a mobile home with her 2 cats, and she doesn't feel safe. Okay, so what can Joyce do right now to prepare?
Well, that's a tough one with the mobile homes because you want to be away from the windows. You don't want to really leave your home. You can go somewhere that's safer, say your library. There's shelters. You would have to know your town better than I do, but even, call the volunteer fire company. Say, hey, you letting people in today? If something were to happen, with technology now, you would be warned. I'm pretty confident if something were to happen, you would have a warning to let you know and give you enough time to hopefully get to someplace safe.
Okay, so Joyce,
there's Howard. Now it's raining.
Exactly. Joyce, all things considered, if you're truly concerned, and I'm reading your comment, and I certainly feel for you because I can understand how scary that might be. The threat is there, so try and take those precautions now. I think that's a great idea. Call your volunteer fire department.
Yeah, I mean, there's storm shelters around. They're all on alert today. There's no way you could have escaped the last few days we've been talking about. Wednesday will be a severe weather day. And it's, the Storm Prediction Center, which, issues these, updates on our chance for severe weather. You're talking the best and most experienced meteorologists probably in the world. So, if they're saying, hey, Western New York, heads up, you have an elevated chance, that's when you need to pay attention. This isn't just me.
Right.
These are the people who are much better than me.
So realistically, a lot of these summer camps are outside as well. And we talked about this a little bit earlier this morning. So Lauren's asking if she should have kept her son home today because she's a little bit nervous. But what's the reality? Because you were saying that even the sun could come out today and that there might be some breaks in all of this.
Yeah. So, we're going to have thunder showers this morning and then a break. Let me go back to the radar. And then a break. And then we'll have the weather this afternoon becoming a lot more active. So that's, my son's at camp.
Right.
So I'm not going to be hypocritical and say, yes, bring your kids home. Be weather ready.
Sure.
If you go to the radar right now, there it is. There's the light rain sprinkling in downtown Buffalo. Yeah, Julie. And the next, 15 minutes or so, there comes that lightning for Buffalo. We have the storms up in the north towns as well. But zooming further out, we have all this lighting, but look to the west of Dunkirk, out over Lake Erie. There's not much. So we get through this next round of storminess, which will last, about an hour or so. And then partly sunny skies, warm and humid. Maybe a shower or thunder shower does pop up, but later today, a front's coming through, and along that front is where the storms will develop. So maybe you want to get your child out early. I mean, there's no harm in that. But if you want to be able to get them, that's your call.
You were saying like what, 2 o'clock?
2 p.m., especially depending on how much sunshine we get this morning. If we were to get a lot of it, then you would have that elevated chance and the atmosphere becomes more unstable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this afternoon, as that front approaches and we have all this tropical moisture in place from what was once Beryl, you will have, that's when the storms will really start to pop.
Let me also ask this question to Joyce, who was just talking about how she lives in a mobile home, lives actually in an arcade. She's in that yellow. We're also in that radar graphic that you were just showing us. We saw some rotation that also is kind of popping up. What does that mean?
Yeah, so that might mean there's what we call a mesocyclone, which is a big storm, and sometimes you see the downdraft from it. That would be the beginning of perhaps some circulation. We see that on the radar. If you start to see a little early tornado sign, then I would be a little more alarmed. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times when these storms move through, there's going to be some circulation. So I'm not too worried about this batch. I would be more concerned later if we saw it. All right, so now you've got raining and drizzling, nothing heavy there in West Seneca. I do want to address, was it Joyce who said that she's in the yellow? So
Arcade.
Yeah, here's like Arcade and Attica area. You're in that 5% chance for tornado, but the yellow was for severe weather. That's from the Storm Prediction Center. This yellow, it's too bad that's how the color scheme is, but I can't control that. This yellow is more east of Warsaw, where the threat for tornadoes is higher. Now, Java, Attica, Alexander in 2022, those are the areas that we did have our last tornado. So our last tornado did touch down in your area. So you get further inland away from Lake Erie, places like Wyoming County have a higher chance.
Lynn is with us this morning asking about Cheektowaga in particular. And we know that parts of Cheektowaga are also prone to flooding.
Exactly, Edward. Prone to flooding. And anything this afternoon in Cheektowaga, sure, you're right in that 5% area. You're right on the border of the 2 and 5%. So this afternoon, shortly you'll have rain in Cheektowaga. It's knocking on your doorstep, but you'll have the threat for severe weather later on today.
So I was talking with some folks in the producer booth this morning, and we were talking about how the rain totals have kind of subsided a little bit, and it almost looks like we're not expecting as much rain per hour or in total as we once were earlier in the week, which I think is great. But
exactly,
there is always that caveat.
Yeah, don't let your guard down on that, especially in Niagara County. Here comes another round of heavy rain. We've already seen some ponding on the roads, led to what we think led to an accident earlier. Can't be certain, but we have heavy rain that'll be with us, and then you have the heavy rain, and if it keeps popping up over your neighborhood, you could see some flooding. So the air mass is extremely saturated right now. The models are suggesting, say, from Buffalo to Batavia northward, could see 1 to 2 inches of rainfall, lower amounts across the southern tier, which is good news, especially with the hills south of Buffalo. You get some heavy rain, you could see some real flooding issues. But we know Niagara County, they had a flooding issue a couple weeks ago. And unfortunately, you're in the bullseye for the heaviest rain, which would be Niagara County, especially western Niagara County.
So Lori says she was supposed to go to Letchworth State Park. Not sure, thinking of staying home. That's probably a good idea, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going, I don't know. I hate to cancel things because of the weather. But if you don't want to be on the river there in Letchworth today, because if a torrential storm does come, the waters could rise rather rapidly. They'll stay in their banks, but that's how a lot of people do get hurt or die out like west when they're camping.
Sure.
And all of a sudden these storms pop up. So, but there will be a lot of dry time today. Was it Lori?
Yeah.
There will be a lot of dry time once this initial round of storms, Lori, moves through. You'll have a lot of time to enjoy Letchworth. I mean, I love it. If you have your heart set on going today, just be careful. And if you can postpone it to say Friday, which will be sunny and perfect, then go then.
Well, I was also thinking Dansville. There's that beautiful park in Dansville. What is it called? Stony Brook.
Right. There's Mount Morris is over there.
Exactly. You know what I'm talking about, though? It's got that really cool waterfall with that great swimming hole. I don't know, like that to me, especially with that risk of tornadoes, doesn't seem like I would want to be there today.
Yeah, this afternoon, if you are out, be weather ready. There's a number of still like softball games and baseball games. Kids are at camps. If you hear, let's see, our summer camp program
with the DEC, yeah.
Well, you're in good hands there with
right.
the DEC. Yeah, I feel good with that.
Sony
but
Brook.
They'll, if you hear thunder, a lot of times they bring the kids inside. I mean, they obviously should, and then you have to wait sometimes 30 minutes until the last thunder you hear. So that's going to be the case today. Any of the camp counselors, they all know that it's going to be a little bumpy this afternoon. Right now, as you'll notice, we have that weather rolling through western Niagara County and heading toward Buffalo. We'll have that this morning, and then there's quite a lull before the next round of storms really fires up later today.
Got to plan out walking the dog as well. So maybe in that lull is the best.
And that's always what Katie says. When can I take Bandit for a walk? I'm like, well, it's more like Bandit walks. But, yeah, and you'll have some muddy paws today. But Ed says it a lot, and I'm saying it too. Download our app. Yeah. You have the weather radar right there. Click it. Be like, oh, that red with all that lightning heading toward me. I'll wait until it passes.
Well, realistically, the reason why I think that the app is so important is because you guys are constantly sending push notifications, which you can just turn on for weather if you wanted to. Forget the news if you don't, if you think the news is too negative, whatever it is, what it is. At least with the weather, you're getting those alerts that are keeping you updated in real time.
Yes, and we were here at the top showing that the thunder showers be.
Oh, there it is.
I'm gonna say if I hit this button, it said, it
8:12.
It updated. It was like Buffalo was like one time was 8:16, one was 8:17.
Okay.
So I mean. That's pretty close.
Yeah.
And then this same is heading over, updated for Amherst. Ken already had a strong storm in Amherst, wiped out the swing, blew it a few feet down the yard. And that was just this morning without really any warnings or watches, Ken. So this afternoon, just be ready. It's dark in Lovejoy. I believe it because we just heard the thunder here in downtown Buffalo. We're right, on the end there of Lake Erie, right by, KeyBank Center. And we're hearing a lot more thunder, and I'm watching those storms from Buffalo up toward Niagara Falls.
Danielle, Aaron, if you have them, usually sends them out just before 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and if you have text alerts, well, if you don't sign up for the weather ones from WKBW, you won't get any because I don't, the Weather Service hasn't sent any yet because they do it when there's a warning or watch. So I send out everything before 6, but this morning with the bad weather, I think it came out at like 5:10. So I try to get it before you start your day. So then you can go to our website and, track it.
Kathy says big time thunder now in North Tonawanda, or in Tonawanda rather. Dark in South Buffalo, dark in Williamsville. Joseph wondering anything heading for Blaisdell.
Right now, southern Erie, yeah, let's see. You have some rain to the west of Hamburg. You'll get some rain. It looks like the thunder will miss you right now. So you have the storms from Buffalo, Grand Island, another round of wet weather, Kenmore, Tonawanda. I love these live reports. Very dark. Oh, hi,
Your
Mom. I can count on my mom for weather reports. Thanks, Ma. You'll have thunderstorms shortly, Ma. And then storms in western Niagara County, too.
Okay, so Danielle, take a look at this. Ooh. Wow, look at that. What a great shot.
Okay, so obviously Grand Island Bridge, probably the north one, showing the rain shafts in the distance, the rain coming down, and then the dark, ominous sky. If we hang on this for a little bit, I'm sure we'll see some lightning too.
Okay, can we talk about this for a second? That must be what? The west side, and then, so the west side we're seeing the clouds, the rain shafts, right? And then
yeah, they're moving
sun
west to east. Yeah, I mean, the brighter sky. Yeah, some parts of Western New York have sun, especially southeastern parts of Western New York. So it's just crazy weather this morning, and it's going to get wild as we get into the afternoon. Catherine, let me know where you are, Catherine, where you're seeing the dark clouds right now. Yeah, because we have that lightning heading towards Buffalo, northwestern Erie County, western Niagara County. So Grand Island and Niagara Falls are watching it right now.
Okay, so the 190 at exit 21, this is Buffalo Avenue.
That's what we thought, the northern Grand Island bridges, yeah.
Okay.
Looking northward.
What I think is interesting about this, and we saw it earlier this morning when we were watching that accident in real time.
Really neat.
The one that you showed us in this area, the rain had fallen so fast that it was almost creating this ponding on the road, and the cars were going so fast that you could see it just whipping up behind them.
It was crazy to watch it unfold this morning. I was nervous watching that.
Yeah.
There's a truck that still is in the median in this area right by exit 21. You come down the Grand Island Bridge going southbound, and there was an accident that went over the guardrail and it's just stuck there, probably hydroplaned.
Sure.
Because at that moment, the rainfall rate was 2 to almost 3 inches per hour. And if you do go fast, you will hydroplane. We saw a few accidents this morning, and unfortunately, probably see more this afternoon, as we will have standing water on the roads, which will lead to hydroplane.
And look at what's happening, the reflection in the road from those headlights. You can almost get a sense of how wet those roads actually are from all of the rain that's already fallen this morning.
Yes, and Catherine saying clouds in Cheektowaga, black, not even dark gray. And looking at the radar with the lightning tracker on, that storminess that you're talking about there for Cheektowaga, still about 10 to 15 minutes away, moving off. These are moving off toward the east at around east-northeast at around 40 miles per hour. So should be there pretty closely. West Seneca, thundering like crazy, very dark. Yeah, you'll get some heavy rain as well. Springville, you're out of the woods right now, Jason. Let me just zoom back out before I say that. Oh,
wow, where is this, John? Whitehaven Road.
So that's South Grand Island,
wow.
which shows up nicely on the radar with all the lightning and the rain and the heavy rain approaching there right now. And then North Grand Island Bridge, you can still see it, but that rain is getting closer. So that is fascinating. If you go to like the 190, John, exit say 23, 24, I bet they have where you can't even see it.
Look at how slow traffic is moving too.
Good.
Right? I mean, this is a matter of public safety at this point, and we're working to keep you safe. And I really do think that this is the point of having all of these traffic cameras here and pulling them up. It's to alert you to make sure that you're safe as you're heading to work or wherever you're going today.
Yeah, and we look at these 2 in the morning, like someone, Jason from Springville just asked, I look at the 219 and it'll be clear. And then look at the 190 in Grand Island, and you have all this lightning with rain coming down at a really good clip. And Chris, is that headed toward West Seneca? Yeah, it looks like, well, West Seneca, you're hearing the thunder. You'll get some rainfall shortly as these cells are moving off toward the east. What part of West Seneca? Very dark thunder. Shortly. Yeah, so it's moving west to east across West Seneca, Danielle. And then, like you said, with Whitehaven Road, now this is between Porter and Whitmer.
Look at the wind.
I was going to say, the wind's pretty light here in Buffalo, but as these storms roll through, those winds will kick up.
You hear it.
Here we go. Damaging winds with some of the storms, like we mentioned. Heavy rain producing some flooding. Damaging winds. We already had a little damage in Amherst with the gentleman's swing set. And then, of course, the tornado chance is there.
Okay, so Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz is tweeting within the last couple of seconds here. He says, while Erie County should not see the worst of the remnants of Hurricane Beryl today, heavy rainfall like we're hearing right now in downtown Buffalo is possible with localized flash flooding and a chance of tornadoes. Our neighbors in central New York have a greater chance of more serious weather, though we shouldn't diminish what actually could happen here.
Yeah, he's kind of speaking for Erie County and Buffalo, but we have to talk about all of Western New York.
Right.
And as you can see, Warsaw to Wellsville shaded in that bright yellow, which is the 10% chance. That is pretty high. That is very high.
Mm-hmm.
And someone just set a tree down in Clarence.
Yeah.
The heavy rain coming down right now. Don't want to diminish the threat here in Buffalo for severe weather. Very rarely will you see the 5% chance from Buffalo to Clarence, Batavia to Marilla, Attica, 10% near Warsaw eastward for a tornado. So the highest threat will be to the southeast of Buffalo, but everyone needs to be weather ready later today.
Okay, so I just want to address a comment that was put in earlier this morning and something that I had said. I asked for pictures. If you see damage, please send the pictures if you can do so safely. Yes, we are asking for that. I'm not asking you to go out in the middle of a tornado
and take a
picture.
chase.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm asking for is simply some damage. So, for instance, Nicole, if you see those trees down, snap a quick picture, get inside if you can, and send it to us. We'd love to share it with everyone just to kind of highlight what actually is going on. You're our eyes and ears on the ground.
We appreciate it.
Anyway, we got to get the show on the road here. Aaron's got to get back on TV. He's going to continue tracking that 7 weather forecast for us after this. Thank you so much for being with us, and stay safe today.